Hello, everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Future, our weekly show where we go over the newest comics that are available to order while the orders are still open, meaning you can order as many as you want and be guaranteed to get them with your store. I'm Jason,
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I'd say this is a pretty medium week
Yep.
as far as new comics to order go. A lot of mini series. That's what I
Yeah.
noticed. So many mini series, and that's a lot of what this show's about. Is we're going to tell you what these mini series are about, and we're going to show you the covers. So let's begin with our featured comics of the week, starting with Marvel's Timeless 2022 one shot.
I didn't even know back when they did, I guess, the 2021 one shot that this was going to be a thing, but apparently this is their new
This is their
thing.
thing. They've done it for a few years now, where Marvel will release a one shot that is sort of a look into the next year.
Hmm.
I particularly like these for this. I mean, of
Hmm.
course, it's sort of our job and our interest to stay on top of what's going to happen. And so these timeless, it's great to look through them. You were mentioning how some of the stuff in the last timeless hasn't even quite happened yet.
Yeah.
A lot of it did, but like you mentioned, Mary Jane dressed in the Spider-Man
Mhm.
suit fighting Shuri. That has definitely not
Yeah,
happened yet.
no.
So I don't know if everything in this is guaranteed to happen. I mean, who knows what's going on behind the scenes at Marvel, but a lot of it does. And this is your chance to kind of get just a little early view of it. Not to mention, some of it is like early cameos and
Yeah.
things like that
I know the last one was an early look at Punisher with his new
with the new
logo.
logo. You're right.
We had a lot of that. There's always that one page spread of like, look at all these things, try to decipher them. And those are always the fun ones to look at.
And of course, the person at the center of this, who better to be at the center of this than Kang?
Yeah.
You're going to show the possible future of Marvel for next year. You're going to follow Kang. So this also says it's supposed to show the final battle Kang is in, and he's also searching for something called the missing moment.
Hmm.
There's like some missing moment he's trying to find. So all that is in this. This is going to be at least double size, if not triple size. They tend to make these really
Hmm.
big. It's usually multiple writers, multiple artists. So that is generally what's going on. And Marvel's Timeless one shot for 2022, which basically leads right into 2023.
Yeah.
I'm sure when it comes out, we'll be featuring it and talking all about all the little things that we noticed
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the fun things about it. So we got the regular cover. Here is the CARNERO variant and the NOCK Miss Minutes variant.
So that was the big thing about the last one was the first appearance of Miss
Miss
Minutes.
Minutes on the cover. Yeah, everybody was looking for that cover.
Also, I do want to mention I saw a article that was talking about one of the things that we know from some of the they've been doing like one little panel previews of this book, and one of them we see Spider-Man in a black and red suit, and it's referring to that missing moment, and it was the original design for the symbiote suit. Back in
Interesting.
Secret Wars, it was going to be black and red, and it looks like Spider-Man's going to be wearing that. So they're already giving hints of like first appearances of costumes that might have been and that kind of thing. I think that's what this is all about.
That's very cool.
Next up is a book I've been waiting feels like my whole life for, but especially since this got announced. This is Gargoyles #1. It's actually coming out through Dynamite. I've had so many people ask me as I'm behind the counter, like, what's the deal with like, Gargoyles is Disney. Uh, Marvel's not doing this.
Right.
And Disney's so big, they can sprinkle the love to other companies like Dark Horse having Star Wars, Dynamite having Gargoyles. It's going all over the place, but I do think that means that they'll still have a tight hand on the quality of this. Very excited about so, what makes this big? We've had one Gargoyles series many, many years ago. But this one is actually written by the original series creator, Greg Weisman, who has done a lot in comics. He even did some Star Wars books and that kind of thing. But these are stories that he has been kind of thinking about and plotting since the original series ended, which I think is great. The story arc that's going to be kind of the big thing is that the Gargoyles have kind of not broken up. It's not like they're a band or anything, but they've kind of started to move apart and do their own things.
Live on separate buildings.
Yeah, they look across and see the other one just perched there. But that something has been discovered, a one of the rarest things in the world, a gargoyle egg. And so this is going to bring them all together to try to protect this egg and keep it out of the wrong hands. I'm super excited about this. It's going to be an ongoing series. So if you're a fan of the 90s Gargoyle show, it's on Disney Plus right now if you've never watched it. If you like Batman the animated series, it's very much like that, just with gargoyles. And we've got some fantastic
More
covers.
Shakespearean references too
Yes,
than Batman the animated
Macbeth is a
series.
character in it.
Yep.
So we have the Amanda Connor cover. They did not hold back with the covers. This one has a lot of covers. We have this one, which I love. This is like if we made this a movie, this is what Goliath needs to look like. This is the PARRILLO cover. We have the LEIRIX cover. We have the J. Lee cover. We have the FLEECS cover. It's like FLEECS. You do all the dogs and cats and
From
animals.
now on.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. We have a purple blank sketch cover. They really are like find all the gargoyles colors and do them. So we've got purple, we've got red, and we have like the stone, which is very fitting for the gargoyles.
Okay, so next up we have Danger Street from King and Fornes, our team that was back on Rorschach
Mhm.
together. Tom King, of course. This is going to be a maxi series. So this is a pretty interesting premise. Basically, it is Starman, Metamorpho, and what's the name? Warlord.
Mhm.
They want to join the Justice League. You know, it's like every hero's dream to join the Justice League. So, in order to prove their worthiness, the three of them summon Darkseid because they're like, we're going to beat Darkseid, and then the Justice League will let us on their team. Well, of course, it doesn't go well, and now their planet is in this dire straits. You can't just summon Darkseid and think it's going to go all right. And so this is a 12-issue series all about the repercussions and the fallout of them doing this and
Mhm.
them trying to save their world in the aftermath of summoning Darkseid. Uh,
Definitely using all those characters that don't always get the spotlight. I think
yeah,
there were the Charlton characters, or
yeah, and they also were in that old DC book, DC First issues.
yeah,
It
that's
was
what it
that
is.
series where
Yeah,
all of them were kind of premiered, and it was just a series of first
because you can't
issues.
forget the big character in this, Lady Cop. She is. I previewed this first issue, and Lady Cop is one of the characters in it. So
That's great. So that is what is going on in the 12-issue maxi series from King and Fornes. I'm definitely going to check out at least the first issue or two to see
I always
if
like
it's
how
if it's
Tom
my
King,
taste.
he'll take these properties like Mr. Miracle. It's like
Hmm.
does whether you like him or not, he does very new and original things with him. That's always fun
Human
to see.
Target, which is
Yeah,
still going on. Yep. So here's our main cover by Fornes, and then here's the Steve Rude variant for Danger Street.
is that Atlas? Was that his name?
There was a character named
I
Atlas.
think that's him. But I mean, you're digging deep into some DC lore for those
Yep.
characters. Okay, next up, I definitely want to feature this because I feel a little justified. You may have been able to find this online, but I didn't know. But when they did Murder World Avengers, I was like, it seems weird to be a one shot or a mini series, but I was like, I bet they're going to be doing a bunch of one shots with different things.
Right.
Marvel's kind of been doing that recently, where the like the Miss Marvel and the Moon Girl Devil
Devil
Dinosaur,
Dinosaur.
they're
Right.
kind of like they're mini series but spread through different characters. So this does continue our Murder World storyline, where of course Arcade is the mastermind behind that. And the first issue with the Avengers talks about a reporter is going in to try to uncover this like hidden world of where Arcade puts superheroes in very dangerous contraptions and all of that. Well, this time we are checking in with the Spider-Man family and seeing how they're going to get out of Murder World. And I like how in this they're going to make Arcade less of a joke and more of like a real threat. So if you want to read all these, you're definitely going to have to tell your store because all these have different titles, but they're all part of the same story. So let them know you want to be on all the Murder World uh, one shots. I'm not sure how many there's going to be. There's usually around 4 or 5, but sounds really cool. It looks like you've got the Spider Verse characters there as well. So this is our A cover, and then we have our B cover by you.
See, I think Arcade's getting more deadly because now the younger generation doesn't know his name. They're like, Arcade, what is that? Like, I've never heard of these things. Okay, so here's another miniseries. It is HEXWARE issue. It's going to be a 6-issue miniseries by writer Tim Seeley with art by Zulima Lavina. So this is set in a future where the world is ruled by corporations, of course. You can't really tell that from the cover because it looks very magical, but there is a lot of magic to this too. So it is a futuristic corporate-led world where this couple's daughter ends up dying. It doesn't say how, but she dies young. And they're trying to bring her back to life. Meanwhile, their android maid turns to making a pact with the devil to bring her back. And
Wow.
yeah, that's and of course that's going to go badly, but that's all that I can find out about this. It's just supposed to be sort of hedge magic, neo-futurism, that sort of book. So that's the general premise for Hexware, another miniseries. Told you lots of miniseries this
Mhm.
time, 6-issue miniseries. So here's the main cover. Here is the Seeley variant. Here is the Andolfo variant, and here is the Spawn variant.
You're gonna be seeing a lot of Spawn this episode. There are so many.
Yeah, Image is ending out the year by doing a Spawn variant series. I think there's going to be 30 different covers total,
I
is what
heard
I read.
50.
50?
50
It's gone up
covers.
since when I looked. It might be up to 100 now, who
Yeah.
knows? So this is the first one, and if you want to get these, I do suggest ordering them because it's going to be hard to track them down later on.
Yeah. Okay, next up is a one shot from DC. This is Dark Crisis The Big Bang. Now, this is really interesting because in Dark Crisis, Pariah has resurrected the multiverse. And by doing so, we got to do a little exploring of it. So in this, we are going to be following what's her name? Dr. Multiverse, the character we have not seen since what was the I get Infinite Frontier or
I
something like
know, yeah, I
or
almost forgot all about that
yeah,
character.
or the that Beyond series. So we're gonna be following her as she goes and kind of checks in with each of these universes. And what we find out in this is the Dark Knights of Steel, the DC Met, the Batman '89, Jurassic League, all of those are their own worlds now. So we're going to be checking in with all those now that they're all part of the same multiverse. And this is going to be written by Mark Waid. So even though the series aren't written by Mark Waid, I really want to see his little takes on all of the universes. So this is going to be kind of one of the last few things for Dark Crisis. So if you've been enjoying it, or you want to see another, how are they working in all of these other separate titles into one big universe? This will be really fun to
Yeah,
check
or
out.
if you were reading any of those titles and it's
Yeah,
like, oh, a little more on that, a little
yeah.
more on Batman 89,
I
that's
think '89's the
interesting.
big one in this. Is like Mark Waid written Michael Keaton Batman
I was gonna
story.
say, if anyone would pull Michael Keaton Batman into the regular DC
Yeah.
universe, it'll be Mark Waid.
So that is our A cover. And then we have and these are really cool. These are also kind of mashups of the different universes. So this is our colon. We have our Zerdy, this is just like the weirdest
The
juxtaposition.
hip hop leaning shoulder to shoulder thing. Yeah.
Then we have the Freddie Williams there with, I mean, we're getting a hint that there's Red Sun Superman,
Mm.
which wasn't mentioned in the solicitation, but maybe that's going to be somewhere we return to. And then we have our Kung variant as well.
Okay, so yes, another miniseries. This is going to be a 5-issue miniseries. It is called All Against All. It is by writer Alex Placknadel with art by Casper Wingard. And so the premise for this was definitely like one of these weird
Hmm.
premises. Okay, so this is set in a distant future where Earth is gone. All right, but these aliens have saved sort of the most savage animals of our world. Now, why would they do that? Not all of them. They just save like a sampling of them. They save them because these aliens have to they're kind of like spirit aliens. They have to move into the physical forms of things, and they're in this like constant war. So of course they're in a constant war. They want to jump in a tiger. They want to
Mhm.
jump in a bear. You know. Well, anyhow, this follows the last human. The last human. His name happens to be Helpless. That's his name, Helpless.
Oh.
And the aliens are basically have him in this savage containment world, and they're coming for him to help him do the war. And all it is said is that Helpless is not as helpless as he sounds like, and he's going to really put the aliens through the ringer. So I guess it's like humanity's last, big fu to these aliens in the future. So really out there premise, but I mean, isn't that what indie books are for?
Yeah.
So I have a feeling I'll be reading this one and reviewing it when it comes out in 3 or 4 weeks. But anyhow, that is the premise to All Against All. So this actually is this the Phillips cover? Because this is actually on here as the Phillips.
Uh. Oh well, I think this is actually. I think this is the main song.
Main cover.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is the Wind Guard.
We'll see if we can tell by the art.
Yeah.
So the next one is this the let's see. There, okay, that's the Spawn. So we
Yeah.
think that this is
That's the
the
Phillips, I
Phillips
think.
variant. And then the last variant we have to show the Spawn variant, one of the 50 and counting variants.
Yeah, and if you're looking for the most savage creatures on Earth, you get Spawn.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, next up is a new miniseries from Marvel for Star Wars. This is Star Wars High Republic, The Blade, #1. So I'm not sure how many. Okay, it's gonna be 4 issues, and this follows a character that actually has been appearing during the High Republic. His name is Porter Ingle. He's been in the comics a little bit, but been in the novels a lot. What's cool about him is he is the like legendary greatest swordsman in the Jedi. He is the best with the lightsaber and his lightsaber skills. And in this, he is going on a mission with his sister to a faraway planet, but it says even there is an opponent he can't beat. So if you want to see some really cool lightsaber action, this is going to be really cool for that. I know a lot of people really like this character. They've read a lot of the High Republic stuff, so looking forward to this. This is our A cover, and then we have our McCree variant.
Okay, so next up, it is Harley Quinn Uncovered. So here's the thing, and this is why we part of why we do this show. You know, you see this on your comic wall, and you're like, I love Harley Quinn. You're gonna grab it, okay? But this is just a compilation of the best covers that have been in this series.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Now, I did look at a PDF preview of it. Harley is in it. She appears in between, and she talks about some of the covers. So you do get a little bit of new content in the way of Harley commenting on her own covers. Of course she has to do that. She loves breaking the fourth wall and doing that sort of thing. I will say the covers they show are awesome.
I think some of them are even like store exclusives that you may have not been able to get at your store. So I think that's a nice little added extra.
Yep. So they're doing this in honor of the fact that it is about to be the 25th issue of this series.
Mhm.
And of course, Harley just had her 30th
Yeah.
anniversary as well. And I guess they just decided, man, this series has had some awesome covers. I forgot how many good ones there were when I was looking through it. So so if you want this as a comic to be read, you're going to be disappointed. But if you want it for the covers,
Mhm.
then that's what it's for. So here's the main cover for it, and yes, a comic about covers does have a variant. It's a pretty cool variant,
Yeah,
though. A
really
nice
cool.
homage variant right there. This is the Ryan Sook in homage of the original George Perez
Mhm.
cover. So
Okay, and this sounds really interesting. I didn't know going into this. I could tell from a distance, like this is Bermejo. Like you see that style, and you're like, looks like straight up Detective Comics variant. But this is Vicious Circle #1, and this is written by Matson Tomlin, and the art is by Lee Bermejo. This is, as you can tell from the size, this is going to be one of your this is not from DC, but it's like your Black Label magazine size books, which I think Bermejo's one of the has utilized that the best out of any of those because of you really want to see his art at a bigger size. But the story in this is about a trained assassin from the future who is hunting the only other person who is like him. And whenever they take someone's life, they are forced to travel to vastly different timelines. So it sounds a little confusing. I don't know if it's like all of a sudden they take someone out and they get like ripped out of the timeline or whatever, or if this like sets the timeline so much they get thrown around in it. But what is cool about it is the they don't only just get thrown a few years. This goes through. It says millions of years. So all the way like Cretaceous time to 1950s to Tokyo in the 22nd century, and Bermejo is going to change his art up for each of the things to kind of reference the period and the art styles of that time. I just want to check this out just to see like what he is trying to accomplish with this. But it sounds really cool. So it's going to be 3 issues, Vicious Circle. This is our Bermejo A cover, and then we have our Garner B cover.
That's really creepy and scary, but
Yeah.
you can't look away. It's like a whole different kind of doomsday clock,
Yeah.
like a personal doomsday
Yeah.
clock. Okay, so that was our featured number ones. Now let's get to all the other number
Because
ones.
there's still more to go.
Yes, beginning with Radiant Pink. This is going to be a 5 issue miniseries. This is going to be the newest um, part of the massive verse. That's what
Mhm.
they call the Radiant Black, Radiant Red. So now we got Radiant Pink. And so in this first issue in Radiant Pink's world, there is a bunch of mercenaries interrupt a charity event. And so Eva, who is Radiant Pink, has to intervene. This is going to be written by Megan Camarina with art by Emma Kubert,
Yep.
yeah, who I know she's doing art on another thing I'll be talking about
Yeah,
later
and she did the
today
ink
too.
blots a little while ago, but
Yeah,
that little black cat and stuff. So it's cool to see a Cubert still in
and doing
kind of
multiple books
yeah,
like fanning out. Okay, so here's the regular cover. Here is the Whalen variant, and of course the Spawn variant.
and more Spawn to come.
I like how Radiant Pink's like sort of way in the back there. He took her cell phone.
It's so rude.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is another one. It's important to talk about because this is a Noctera one shot. So you'll have to check with your store if they're going to be, if you're subscribed to Noctera, if they're going to be putting this in your pull list, or if you're going to have to ask for this separate. But we always like to let you know, like with annuals and one shots. But I know for the Blacktop Bill one shot, it's a pretty important
It
one shot
was, yeah.
for the story. So you don't want to miss these one shots for Noctera. Um, One of the big reasons I'm excited about this is Francis Manipool is going to be doing the art in it, which I love Francis Manipool. It's been a while since I've seen interiors that he's done, but in this, it's about Val, our kind of protagonist in the
Yep.
series. And after kind of the craziness that happened with the end of the previous story arc, she's going to have to reflect on everything of kind of her past and also decide, does she want to team up with a unlikely ally, which you could probably guess when you see one of the variant covers who it's going to be. But it sounds like it's still going to be a pretty important one shot that's going to bridge the gap between story arcs that we're kind of in a hiatus of right now. So
I have to say, this looks like it's a Christmas issue a little bit. You
it
see the lights
does.
on them, the colored
Yeah,
lights, and it's coming out, sort of December-ish.
yeah. It's very fitting for the Noctera world
I
too.
would like that. Yeah, needing the light.
Yeah.
So,
So this is our Daniel A cover. Then we have our I believe this is the Maniple. Yes, the Maniple B cover. We have our Lotte C cover. We have our Pearson D cover. There's a lot of that's where I'm like, oh, I think I know who the person she's going to be teamed up with is.
yeah, I mean, they've kind of teamed up before. It didn't go,
Yeah.
it went the way everyone expected, but it was still a really interesting, awesome read.
Then we have the sketch cover, and finally the Spawn cover by Tony Daniel. He fits really well in
Looks
that.
great. Yeah, Tony Daniel did a great job with that one. Okay, so next up is a book called It's Only Teenage Wasteland. It's going to be a 4 issue miniseries by Kurt Pyers with art by Jacoby Salcedo. So this they say this is one of these comics that has a long title and a high concept. They want to
They
relate it
know it.
to,
They know what it
yeah,
is.
a nice house on the lake, things like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, the premise is that these high school kids decide to throw a big party when their parents are out of town in order to gain some popularity. Well, I don't know what happens at the party, but it says that it flings them into situations and a future that no one could ever be prepared for. So
Hmm.
that's as much as you get. So that is as much of the premise that I can relate to you on It's Only Teenage Wasteland, 4 issue Dark Horse
It
series.
sounds like a 80s teen comedy. Would you like they throw a party at the end? There's a gas station on fire.
Yep, and they're on the roof of it.
Yep.
So, and I mean the sign there says hell. So, a lot
Could
of
be
little
some
hints.
supernatural stuff.
I think so. And it just has the one cover.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay, next up, I thought this sounded really fun. We talk about a lot of books that range from like teen to mature, but this actually sounds like a really fun family book, especially because it's called Family Time. We've got some really cool artists working on everything. So this is a story about the O'Connell family who are vacationing in Ireland. Sounds like they're with their last name. They're going to, follow their
See their
heritage
heritage,
and all that.
kiss the Blarney Stone, all
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah. When they meet an old man who has a crystal that seemingly sends them 1,000 years back in time, but at first they just think they're in a historical reenactment. But this is going to be kind of the family's adventure to try to get home again. There's going to be magic, superpowers, all that kind of stuff. And it was written by a father and daughter team. So I think that sounds fun. Our protagonists are like 11 and 12 years old, which I think is kind of the age range that this book is for. And we've got some great covers. So we have a Jay Lee A cover, and we have a this is our green B cover, the person behind Bitter Root.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, the cover's giving me like sort of manga and kind of video game,
Yeah, and I even made
feel
a
to it.
note that the style of the book is very manga.
Okay. So next up is Frank Miller Presents Pandora. It is so important to know that Frank Miller Presents it. They wrote it 2 times on the cover. Frank Miller Presents Frank Miller Pandora. However, Frank Miller did not do the writing or the art for this. I actually didn't didn't note that, but I will tell you what the premise is. So this is the first, I think, full comic from this new press that Frank Miller
We've
is
talked
doing.
about I think one other one, but this is still I
Really
think they're
early
all
into
coming
it.
out roughly the same time.
Okay, so the premise is that this girl finds this relic and it grants her sort of like a wish, I guess, where she's able to change life in the world to what she wants it to be. Well, she does this, but the problem is it actually changes reality for everyone. She doesn't understand the implications. It's going to change like it sounds nice to just change things to make it better for you, but it changes the whole world, and the what happens is bad, and she's now going to have to fight to kind of repeal these changes and take the world back to how it was. So that's the general premise for Pandora, or rather, Frank Miller's Pandora. It's the number one of three.
I think isn't that Emma Kubert doing the art in that?
Um, yeah, I forgot to note that, but you know what? Yeah,
I
I
believe
see
it
her
is.
name right
Yeah,
there.
that's the other Emma Kubert
So,
book.
yep.
Okay, here's a new one from Whatnot. So I mean they were coming in hard. It feels like every week we have a new Whatnot book, and this one is called Quested. And I think this is interesting because they describe it as fusing Hellboy and The Legend of Zelda. It's a very strong things to compare yourself to. So we'll see. But it is a questing adventure of a pawn shop owner investing in this magical world named Jinx, who is kind of a maybe not the greatest protagonist, but he's going to tangle with lizard henchmen, dungeon bosses, and unicorn burglars in this new series. So it sounds really interesting. There's some variants for it too. And a lot of the variants are connecting variants, so you'll kind of get an idea of the art style and everything in it. So we have this is our A cover. This is our Wallace connecting cover. A. There's three of these. Then there's the B and the C. And then we also have the CARNERO variant, which looks very video game.
All right, and I think our last number one to go over, this is a three-issue miniseries. It is called Bone Check. Interesting name.
Yeah,
And so this is by artist and writer Cameron Johnson. And the premise is there is this motel where 13 people have mysteriously gone missing. Can't really say if it's all at once or bit by bit. Either way, that's a large number of people to go missing
yeah.
in any amount of time. And so this mercenary bounty hunter, who is I think our main protagonist there, he takes on the job to figure out what is going on, why these people are all go missing. So that's the general premise. It also promises many things in the issue. It says there's going to be pain, luxurious cigars, and hard liquor.
We're all gonna pour out of the book when you open it.
Yeah, that's right. So that is the premise for Bone Shack, the new three-issue miniseries by Cameron Johnson. And here is the variant cover by Jimbo Salego. And then we got a Templesmith cover.
That's one of the main reasons I featured this was like, oh wow, you got Templesmith who you don't see as much anymore. So
Yeah,
he
not for
must
a
have
while.
really wanted to help out with this one.
It's very cool. Okay, so now we're going to go over cool covers and other comics. These are not necessarily issue number ones, but it's going to be variants that we think are noteworthy you might want to order, or issue number twos and threes or fours that are noteworthy that you might want to order as well.
Starting with Dark Web X-Men #2. We always like to mention these because #1 is not out
Yep.
yet. None of Dark Web, other than I think the Venom you covered, was a
It wasn't,
slight.
yeah, it's a lead in, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have it on the cover or anything.
So none of the series has started, and we're already to #2s of things. So definitely let your store know if you want to be on these two-issue series for these. And in this one, of course, it does reference the Summers brothers' relationship with the new leader of Limbo, and that they're gonna have to, work through some of their problems. This is our A cover for that. And then this is our Baldion variant.
I have to say, if I had a brother and we both had powers that, we could fire lasers and it would nullify each other, I'd just be doing it all the time. I'd be like, hey, start, just nullifying the
Yeah.
power just all the time. Okay, so next up is issue number two of Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise. This is a new four-issue miniseries. Number one is not out yet. So again, what's happened is Marvel has changed their publication schedule a little
Hmm.
bit. There's been so many problems with printing schedules that it's just caused things to get out of sync. Where we're having to turn numbers in for issue number twos before number ones come out. The worst part is that falls on all the people who just go every week and buy off the shelf
Yeah.
because it means that we don't have a lot of people asking for this number two because no one's read the number one. Our orders are low, and then when it comes out, everyone's read the number one, decided they want it,
Yeah.
and there's not enough issue number two. That's why we do the show. That's why it's best to order in advance if you can. So anyhow, in this, Doctor Strange joins forces with a new set of mythical heroes. I wish I could tell you more, but again, number one is not out.
We know as much as you do.
Yeah, so this is the regular cover, and then here is the Bertram variant.
I just know it's Tradmore doing it, and so if anything, the art's just going to be incredible.
Yep, and this looks like they're doing sort of a new style tarot card on
Yeah.
the cover.
Okay, next up, the same thing with this. We don't have issue #1 yet, but this is Extreme X-Men #2. Of course, this is written by Chris Claremont, so classic X-Men fans will be excited about this, returning to the Extreme X-Men time period where they're all in these suits and everything. And in this issue, it's spotlighting on Wolverine, who is trying to hunt down Ogun and save Kitty Pryde. So I still really love these costumes for him, even though I know they're really outdated. But I like this time frame of X-Men. So this is our A cover, and then we have our Momoko variant.
All right, so next up it is Peter Parker and Miles Morales, Spider-Man Double Trouble number two. This is sort of an all ages mini series they did. They previously did Spider-Man Venom Double Trouble. This one's with Peter and Miles, and in this issue, Miles is caught in a Mysterio trap. So this is the regular cover, And then we have the Balderi variant for Spider-Man Double Trouble #2, starring Peter Parker and Miles Morales.
And then we have Amazing Spider-Man. This Amazing Spider-Man number 16, and this is getting into the dark web stuff because this actually says this is the big fight we've been waiting for between Peter and Chasm, who is Ben Riley. Uh, so I like how we're already getting to the big final fight before we've read the first issue. But I'm really excited about this. This is the McGinnis variant, and then we have another series of variants that are going on right now are these demonized variants, and this is the Ryan Stegman demonized Spider-Man cover, which looks super cool.
All right, continuing on with these demonized variants, this is the Bagley demonized variant for Captain America Symbol of Truth #8. Awesome cover. Now, what's going on in the issue is that Falcon is his conditions are worsening from what has previously occurred to him. And meanwhile, Captain America is having to deal with White Wolf, all the stuff between him and White
Mm.
Wolf. So, but this is the Bagley variant, and then another demonized variant. Here is the demonized variant for Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings #6. This is going to be the final issue for the Game of Rings arc, where everybody's playing, everybody's fighting over who gets the rings, and this is the Tan variant for that.
And then we've got She-Hulk, this She-Hulk number 9, and this is kind of wrapping up this current story arc where there has been some new villains. If you read the last issue, you know who they are. They've kind of they were in the series earlier, but you didn't know, and now they are coming back, and this is the big fight between She-Hulk and them. And yeah, so the end of that story arc and some great covers for this. This is our first Bartel A cover. Then we have our demonized variant by Kafu.
And that's the homage to the #1 of like one of her
Yeah, I
series.
think like the Dan Slott
Yeah, I
one.
believe you're right.
Then we have the Momoko, which is really nice. And then I love this one. This is the Ruin Extreme variant, where she just got spikes on her shoulder.
Here is the Myers Extreme variant for Carnage #8. And in this issue, Carnage has been in the Asgardian Hell land
Mhm.
with sort of a mission, a secret mission he's been carrying out. Well, it will be completed this issue, but what is it? Why did he do this? We're going to hopefully find out in this issue of Carnage #8.
And then this is cool because this is Miracle Man number 3, the Scotty Young variant. And what's special about this issue is this is actually the first new issue of Miracle Man. Previous 2 issues were came out a long time ago, but Mark Bagley did new art for them. But this is the actual first new story from Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham going forward. So even if you had read those 2 a long time ago, we're finally getting to new content for that as well. So very excited for this one, Miracle Man number 3, Scotty Young cover.
Here is the Teach Momoko variant for Moon Knight #18. And in this Moon Knight, it's just more of the story that's been going on. He's going up against the structure with their leader, the Tutor. The end of last issue, they kind of like busted in on a big meeting that they were having. So that's what's going on in Moon Knight. And this is the Momoko variant for issue 18.
And then we have Strange Academy Finals number 3. This is our John Tyler Christopher action figure variant. And this is a big issue because this is the big fight that's been leading up to between the students and Gas Lamp. So very cool. And then we have our this is the trading card variant, the Weaver trading card variant.
It was Zoe Laveau. That's creepy. Okay, so this is the LaRocca Extreme variant, if you can't tell with the weapons and everything.
Just like Extreme Venom puts a boot on.
For Venom #14. I mean, does Venom really need any weapons at all? So, yeah, this is the LaRocca Extreme variant. This is a dark web tie-in. And in this, Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, has big plans for Eddie Brock and all the symbiotes that he controls. So you have to see what those are in Venom #14.
Then we got some Star Wars books. This is our second issue of the Yoda miniseries. And I still haven't read number one of this, but I think it is kind of structured like the Obi-Wan one, where it's kind of tales throughout Yoda's life and different adventures he went on. So in this one, it says he heads out to the new frontier in the galaxy. So it makes me think it's around the High Republic era, because that's kind of what they talk about in there. But why is he going there? What lesson is he trying to teach while he's there? We're gonna find out in this issue. So this is our A cover. Then we have our Todd Knock variant. And then we have our Wendigard Attack of the Clones 20th Anniversary variant. And then some other books, other Star Wars books coming out. This is Dr. Aphra number 27. And this is our Attack of the Clones 20th Anniversary for that with Zam Wessel.
I like how in the Star Wars universes, all these planets, they don't believe in like any sort of
Railing.
yeah, no railing
No
at
railing.
all.
It's kind of like a rule now. It's like you don't put railing anymore.
Yeah.
If you fall off, it's your fault. And then we have the anniversary issue for Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Yeah, if you fall, you either have friends who are going to catch you, or you find out you don't have friends and you're not a main character in anything.
And then we also have, which I thought this was cool, this is the Jerry Ordway variant. Classic comic book artist Jerry Ordway.
Okay, this is the Yagawa variant for Exterminators #4. This has been a really wild series. I think a lot of people at our store have enjoyed it quite immensely.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this one, the write up says "sexy cosplay of death." That's the write up. I mean, do you need anything more? We already know we got Jubilee and Boom Boom and X-23 and Dazzler. And the A cover, funny enough, it shows a little bit of their cosplay, and they're cosplaying as normal people. Like one is like, I'm just a cheerleader, because when people cosplay, they cosplay as
Yeah.
comic characters. Anyhow, but I think this variant, the Yugawa variant, is really strong as well, where they're just getting busted in
Yeah,
on.
you can watch the series of events.
Yeah, their expressions change. So
Okay, then we have Wildcats #2. This I did get a chance to read the first issue of because that came out this week. So if you're a big fan of the '90s, Wildstorm, Wildcats, all of that, you see in the first issue that we're pulling in some of the Gen 13 characters, and in issue #2, as you can see on the cover, it is the Wildcats versus the Court of Owls. But that's not all, because I got to look through this issue. There's even more characters if you're fans of early 90s Wildstorm, Image, all of that. You're going to be very happy by the last page of this issue. So that is our A cover. And then we have our Oliver B cover. It's very nice. And then our Oliver C cover, but this time with a ginormous Spawn.
so it's like she's standing there, and then Spawn walks into the picture.
You're like, oh, you're either really small or he's really big.
Yeah. All right. So this is the Bartel variant for Wonder Woman #794. So in this, Wonder Woman is going to go after the gods of fear and panic, because apparently they were behind this whole milk conspiracy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably aren't reading Wonder Woman, but yeah, this milk conspiracy's gone on a lot longer than I expected. So she's going after the gods that are behind it. This is the Bartel variant. Here is the Kotzebue DC Holiday card variant.
These are cool. There's a couple of these, and I believe these are actually uh, like the cards that are sent out if you work at DC. Because I know the one coming up later, I know for sure that that is one. So I think all these are the ones if you work for DC you get, and they get like their original artists to do new ones each year.
Iman's getting hit, just the look on his face, the soured look. And then here's the Jim Cheung Spawn variant for Wonder Woman #794.
That one's great.
Yeah, her lasso is kind of like dominating the chains.
Okay, then we have this is actually Batgirls #13. We're still dealing with the body swap where uh, Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain have switched
The
bodies.
Freaky Friday
Freak
show.
they Freaky Friday, but this is the Dan Mora variant for that, which is really cool.
Okay, so this is Batham Gotham.
Awesome.
Batman Gotham Knights Gilded City #3. This is the Gist variant. And of course, this takes place in sort of 1800s Gotham. You can't really tell by this variant. But in this, the new hero, the 1800s hero, Runaway, wakes up in a lab of the Court of the Owls, because of course they've been in Gotham that long. So again, this is the Gist variant for Batman Gotham Knights Gilded City #3.
And then we have our Inhyuk Lee variant for Batman Incorporated #3. And what's interesting about this one, it actually says the Batman Incorporated are going up against another uh, Bat group. So I'm not sure who that's going to be or who it's made up of. If it's the main ones we know, but it sounds like it's going to be a big fight between two Bat themed teams. And then also we have this is the Christmas card one. This is the, let's see, for Superman Son of Kal-El #18. This is the Jim Lee holiday card. So this is the one I have seen personally. I know it's a Christmas card. And then we have the Son of Kal-El #18 Ryan Sook Spawn variant for that one.
And continuing on with the Spawn variants, here is Walking Dead Deluxe #52, the Spawn variant. So even though this is, a reprint, they're
Mhm.
reprinting all the Walking Dead in order. This is a reprint of Walking Dead 52. Doesn't mean Spawn can't break in on the cover there.
And then we have That Texas Blood Spawn variant. This one took me a minute to see, but the kid is actually reading an issue of Spawn.
I'll do you one better though. Here is Little Monsters #8, Spawn variant by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. And he's not reading Spawn, he's drawing Spawn in crayon on the ground.
If we're one upping them, then this next one is Do a Power Bomb, where they are wrestling Spawn in a luchador match. This is also our final issue of this mini series for Do a Power Bomb. The way to end it off with just the coolest design for a luchador Spawn.
Yep. And one more Spawn one. This is Kaya #3, the Spawn variant.
That's not all of them
Oh, that's right.
because
Because
we
you
added
added some
more. Because
right
they
before the
added
show.
more,
You
so
added some
there's more.
more.
So we also have the Spawn variant for Bloodstained Teeth. It was a little hard to notice at first, and you're like, "Oh, that's all his cape."
Yeah.
So yeah, he's looming in the background.
Okay, and then the last one we have that's orderable this week. There'll be more next week and the
Oh,
week
so many
after.
more.
Undiscovered Country.
And this time it's with Gunslinger Spawn, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, makes complete sense with
Yep.
that book. Okay, so now the final part of our show, other printings and graphic novels, beginning with
Deadpool #1, second printing. This just came out about 2 weeks ago. A lot of people really like this. It's kind of a different take on Deadpool. It's not quite as over the top silly. And the stuff that's going on between him and maybe his ties to Carnage, really cool. So if you missed that first one or you like this cover, you want to pick out Deadpool #1, second printing.
another #1 that's going back to second print is Secret Invasion. So this is the second print of the #1 that recently came out. The cover artist on this is Lolly. And of course in this, Nick Fury is investigating Grolls on Earth. It's never a good thing. So again, Secret Invasion #1, second print.
And we're also getting Riddler Year One second printing with the Jim Lee variant as the main cover. And this one sold like crazy. People heard that it was written by Paul Dano. The actor portraying Riddler is writing it. So if you go to your store right now, they may be sold out of it. So you'll want to pick up this one.
All right, so this is a facsimile, but She-Hulk #1 facsimile is available for order. This came out in 1980. Stan Lee wrote it. John Buscema did the art. This, of course, is the premiere issue for She-Hulk. It's her first appearance,
Mhm.
all that. So if you want a copy to see with all the original ads, everything, the facsimile is available for order.
That's something you don't see too often anymore is a character's first appearance being in a self-titled book.
Self-titled book.
Usually they're slipped in another book and
At
they kind
least
of
with
jump.
Marvel and DC.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
indie stuff,
You
it's
don't really
like
have much of a
almost every
choice.
book is, yeah, first appearances.
And then we have a new omnibus for a series I really liked and I read when it was coming out. This is Deadpool and Cable I mean, this is basically what inspired Deadpool 2, the movie, is
Yeah,
their
it
relationship.
solidified what good friends they are, or
Yeah,
good friends in a way,
frenemies. I don't know what you would
whether
say.
Cable wants it or not.
Yeah. So, if you've never read this, this is a excellent series. Really funny. This has over 50 issues in it of the main series, plus one shots, little extra things. So, it's $125, which is actually a really good price for this.
And I believe that's the full series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is our main cover, and then we have our Rob Liefeld, I guess, variant other cover for this omnibus.
All right, so that's our show for this week. Thank you for watching. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button as we continue our uh, ascent to 2,000 subscribers. We're not too far away anymore.
Yeah.
We're about 25 away. We want to hit it by the end of the year. So thank you very much. We will be back on Monday with our weekly review show where we actually have read all the new comics before they're released and we give spoiler free reviews. We'll tell you about first appearances, stuff like that. For those of you who like to buy comics, Megan will be doing Whatnot tonight, starting at 8 o'clock Eastern time. She's starting a new show. I think it's like half price fair market value show
Hmm.
where she's going to start everything at half price. So pretty cool.
Whoa, she must be going crazy for those kind of prices.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we will see you next time.